Solitude is a destiny for all elevated spirits. Friedrich Nietzsche. Have you ever felt lonely, even in the company of many? Or longed for a moment of stillness amidst the chaos of everyday interaction? We live in a time of instant connections, yet the number of people feeling hollow inside has never been greater. Maybe what's missing isn't companionship, but silence. Perhaps we haven't lost others, we've lost ourselves. And what if solitude, so often feared, is actually a hidden strength waiting to be embraced? A key unlocking the door to self-awareness, inner freedom, and profound peace. This isn't an escape from reality. It's a return to your essence. Welcome to the journey inward. When we were one collective body, there was once a time when surviving depended entirely on unity. In small villages, when a family faced hardship, like a failed harvest, others would instinctively rally around them. They would share their food, clothes, compassion, and hope. Helping each other wasn't exceptional. It was embedded in the fabric of daily life. Collective labor was common. Men and women worked side by side, building homes, fixing rooftops, or preparing fields for the next season. Back then, solitude wasn't a choice. Community was survival. Everyone knew they would, at some point, need the support of others, and that awareness forged deeper bonds, more honest relationships, and empathetic eyes. But as the world expanded and technology evolved, something essential began to fade. The feeling of belonging began to dissolve. Looking back, many feel a quiet nostalgia, a longing no amount of likes can satisfy. Community is essential for shaping individual consciousness, but a person only becomes whole when they learn to walk alone. Carl Jung. This teaching reminds us that although we are shaped by the collective, it is the solitary path that truly transforms us. In the past, we found safety in the group, but it may be in today's solitude that we uncover our real strength. The unseen cost of self-sufficiency. As technology progressed and economies grew, humanity finally achieved something that for centuries was merely a dream: independence. Nowadays, it's possible to live without relying on anyone. With a click, we can order food, hire services, and solve problems. We can live alone, work remotely, and even find entertainment without stepping outside. But along with this quiet autonomy came something unexpected: a subtle sense of isolation, a void we struggle to name. Technology freed us from others, but may have also distanced us from ourselves. In many affluent societies, people became so self-sufficient that community ceased to be necessary. And with that absence of need, the habit of connection also disappeared. My passionate sense of social justice and social responsibility has always stood in contrast to my lack of need for direct contact with other human beings. Einstein's words reveal a deep paradox. It is possible to care for humanity while preferring solitude. Self-sufficiency is practical, but it drains warmth from our interactions. Could it be that in gaining complete independence, we've sacrificed one of life's deepest pillars: genuine connection, not born from need, but chosen freely? At this point, solitude stops appearing as an adversary and becomes a mirror, the ocean of personal freedom. Picture yourself as a fish swimming alone in a boundless ocean. The waters are vast, hushed, and full of mystery. Around you there are no schools, just open space and endless potential. For many, this mirrors modern life, an unanchored existence with no dependencies, free to choose one's own route. In this vastness, everyone charts their own path. We can work, travel, learn, and evolve, all independently. What sounds lonely to some feels liberating to others. Companionship becomes a choice, not a necessity. Some view this distance as emotional coldness, but perhaps it's emotional maturity, the ability to be alone without feeling empty, the freedom to act, choose, and spend time with full autonomy. The man of the future will be the one who has the courage to be alone. Friedrich Nietzsche. This kind of solitude is not abandonment. It's a deliberate stillness that reveals, rather than burdens. To be alone becomes an experience of inner expansion. Life ceases to revolve around others' expectations. You define your pace, your course, your destination. Solitude is no longer a deserted sea, but a private cosmos. It's within this intimate space that many discover a peace the crowd could never provide. And so begins a new journey, not outward, but inward. Solitude as the soul's reflection. Real solitude isn't distance from others. It's nearness to oneself. When the world's noise dims, a deeper sound rises, the voice of your soul. For many, this inner meeting is unsettling. We're taught to distract ourselves, to fear silence, to run from emptiness. But some choose to stay and find that behind the discomfort lies a truth only silence can reveal. Carl Jung understood this deeply. During his marriage, he noticed a loss of isolation. I am no longer alone with myself and can only artificially recall the frightening and beautiful feeling of solitude. Carl Jung. That statement holds honest melancholy. Jung knew solitude, while daunting, was also exquisite. It is in emptiness that creativity is born, in silence that we feel. In solitude that we awaken. Society teaches us to seek others, but few are taught to seek themselves. Being alone is not weakness, it is courage, the courage to listen, to confront, to embrace oneself. Solitude is not the absence of presence. It is presence in its purest form. It's the mirror showing us what the world cannot. And sometimes that reflection is the exact thing we need to start again. The chaos of constant coexistence, living in community, has its charm, but it also demands a high price. Constant closeness brings expectations, social pressure, misunderstandings, and inevitably, conflict. Groups, despite appearing welcoming, often demand conformity. You're expected to speak a certain way, behave a certain way, believe what's acceptable. Belonging can require giving up parts of yourself. Hell is other people. Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre didn't say this out of misanthropy, but because he recognized that being among others means being under their gaze and judgment. Surrounded by eyes, we adjust our actions, hide emotions, and bury truths. Due to a peculiar weakness of human nature, people often overthink what others think of them. Arthur Schopenhauer. Worrying about others' opinions traps us. Solitude, on the other hand, sets us free. When we no longer seek external approval, we reclaim our wholeness. Being alone shields us from the noise of society and grants clarity to hear what truly matters, our inner voice. A meaningful life isn't measured by the number of relationships, but by the freedom to be genuine. Ironically, it's often in the absence of others that we become most authentic. Being selective is a privilege. When we no longer depend on others for survival, we gain something priceless, the power to choose our companions. Relationships stop being social obligations or emotional habits and become intentional decisions. This changes everything. We're no longer forced to tolerate harmful behavior or stay in relationships out of convenience. We can end toxic friendships, avoid hollow connections, and guard our peace. This emotional independence allows us to be more honest in the relationships we choose. We seek true resonance, shared values, and sincere presence. And if sometimes we remain alone because no one meets that depth, we're still fine. Because the quiet of a healthy solitude is far better than the presence of someone who doesn't understand us. Become who you are. Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche urges us to rise above social expectations and build our own values. That requires bravery and and often isolation. But it's in that chosen separation that space opens for us to become who we truly are. Being selective isn't arrogance, it's maturity. It's knowing that not all company is meaningful, and for certain roads, only silence deserves to walk beside us. Chosen solitude may be the purest form of relational freedom. True freedom is in choosing Solitude has long been seen as punishment, a symbol of failure, rejection, or abandonment. But this journey shows it can be the opposite, a hidden gift. Being alone doesn't mean being lost. In many cases, it's the only way to find ourselves. Within that haunting silence lives the answer that liberates. When solitude is embraced, it becomes a sacred space, where the soul aligns, emotions settle, and identity is strengthened. Without others around, you might finally meet yourself. Today's world offers the power to live autonomously, and though that may seem daunting, it's a remarkable achievement. We no longer stay in relationships out of need, but out of affinity, honesty, and free love without obligation. True freedom isn't about avoiding human bonds, it's about having the choice of when and how to connect. It's not a rejection of connection, but a redefinition, understanding that relationships are paths, not prisons. Life, in the end, is the subtle balance between closeness and distance, between unity and solitude, between being with the world and being with yourself. Once you learn to walk alone, you also learn to love in a purer way, without dependence, without demand, without fear. Solitude ceases to be a burden, it becomes fertile soil, and from it you bloom. If this message touched your heart, if you've ever found yourself in that fertile silence of solitude, then this channel is for you. Here, we explore not only the world around us, but the universe within. Like this video, share it with someone walking the same path of self-discovery. And subscribe so you don't miss the next deep reflections on the soul, spirit, and inner transformation. Join our community of awareness and growth. Because sometimes life's most powerful encounter happens when we are alone.